Guys, I have the BMW S1000 XR for an entire day. I can ride it through the Alps. If you want to know what I think about it, stay tuned. So guys, one more thing before I get on the bike. I'm not going to bore you with any of the specs and list down the horsepower and all the stuff the bike has and all the functions. There's probably plenty of videos on that. I'm going to focus on the ride and the experience, especially as compared to my KTM 1290 Super Adventure S, and how those two bikes compare and how they compare to the 1250 GS, which I also rode this week. Let's get started. Alrighty guys, so today I get to test ride an S1000 XR. It's a 2020 model by BMW. This bike has I don't know the specs exactly. It's 4 cylinders, 160 horsepower is all I care about. I'm really curious about the characteristic of a 4-cylinder engine after riding the 1290 Super Adventure S. So I've got this bike for a whole day and I'm gonna move it in the mountains, which is really cool. So first startup. Very interesting. Always funny the first few meters on a new bike. Definitely the seating position is the first thing you notice. You just kind of sit in the bike. It's not a whole lot of room to move, and I'm having problems with my big boots to actually hit the lever and get the lever and shift. Wow, interesting. You can tell smaller wheel size, just like the swinging from left to right is much easier than on my bike with the bigger wheels. Was to be expected, but they basically locked into the seating positions with that sort of mold of a seat. Oh, the shifting is going to be interesting. I have these big enduro boots. Those are definitely not the right kind of shoes to wear. Whoa, what's going on here? Check out these guys. Cool. So I'm going to play with the dash and all the settings in a little bit. So the thing has a quick shifter, and I was just riding a 1250 GS, and that quick shifter is still not very good on that bike. This here, on the other hand, is super snappy, even at low RPMs. That's where the 1250 GS doesn't do so well. Low RPMs and quick shifting, somehow that doesn't agree with the inline 2-cylinder engine. This here is very smooth, butter smooth. Yeah, I need to go in here. Oh, the brakes are awesome. It's in this road setting, so I hope there's a dynamic setting on this here. And this suspension system is way too soft. I have to go to the Autobahn for a little bit because one of the passes, one of the roads south is blocked. They just told me that. So I just have to go on here and then take the next exit off. That should be it. So the thing I noticed is going on the Austrian Autobahn, the vibrations are definitely sort of smaller vibrations. It's not the, it's the 4-cylinder vibrations, and if you're not used to that, it's actually not that great. I have to say, it's just if you're coming from a super sports bike, I guess that would be different. But it's not a very pleasant high frequency vibration that you have when you're just kind of cruising along at 100 kilometers per hour. Also, I have to say the power delivery, of course, as expected, the power comes at the top end of the RPM range. It's not the bottom end of the RPM range. Find that tunnel. Okay. So it's a police checkpoint. Luckily I wasn't going that fast. I've had a few kilometers to ride with it so far, just on regular roads, and I'm really curious to see how it handles on a sort of tight hairpin turns. Alpine pass, you can see the squiggles there on the GPS. The only problem I have right now is I have these big enduro boots and they're not really made for this bike, so I'm having a hard time shifting up and down. Also, it seems like the shifter is just kind of getting stuck every once in a while. Maybe it's my boots, or it just needs a lot more force to flop in the gears. So we'll see how it goes. There you go already. So we'll see, this is gonna be fun. Oh, I'm missing the low end torque of my 1290 Super Adventure. This is a 4-cylinder engine, so obviously, yeah, the power is not coming from down under. It's like struggling. But I guess I could just leave it in second gear and forget about shifting. That's one way of doing it. Second gear, how it's coming. So yeah, it's a huge difference to my big 2-cylinder engine. And there's construction on here. That's not so nice. It's very busy here today because it's a weekend day. It's a Sunday, middle of September. I saw a lot of cars, a lot of traffic. I've ridden this pass a few times, and most of these times it was in May, June, and there isn't so much traffic then. There's a lot more traffic today. Yeah, I mean, a good time to talk about the display here. I found these sports settings in there. I haven't really played around much with it. I set it to dynamic, so it gives you a stiffer suspension, and then I turned these things on, which is kind of fun. You got the RPMs. Oh, here we go. A lot of construction here. Oh, some gravel. Oh, nice to check that out too. Yeah, if you ever consider this bike to be close to an enduro bike, an off-road bike, it's definitely not, no matter what you see or read elsewhere. This is very much a sports bike with a bit more suspension travel, and it's definitely not made for this kind of stuff. The handling and everything about it. This would be yeah, I gotta watch it a little bit. Don't want to drop the bike here. Traction control, it's in. It's so bad. Now you can do this stuff, but it's not fun. There's no problem getting this bike around the corner. Oh, it's shifting. Go into third gear. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. So I don't know if that's really just my boots or if that's a little bit shifter as well. Because it takes quite a bit of force to even downshift. You just gotta slam on the shift lever in order to get to do anything. And now full throttle. So going down these hairpin turns, I can definitely tell there's a lot less weight pushing on the front wheel as compared to my bike. It's so much easier actually. Braking into the hairpin turns, which makes this for a very sort of dynamic, quick ride. So guys, as I'm waiting for the traffic light to turn, I've had a whole day of riding with this bike. It's about 314 kilometers. I have another 100 to get back. And let me start with the things that I like about the bike. I certainly like the handling. I think the smaller wheels and the suspension system make it a very easy to handle bike. Really like that. I also like the brakes, the excellent front brakes, especially not so much the rear but the front brakes. So coasting down a mountain, that's a lot of fun with this bike because it handles really well. The brakes are really nice. It needs the wider turns, the really small hairpin turns. It's not really for this bike, but if they get a bit wider, it's a whole lot of fun to drive it down a mountain. It's not as heavy as my bike. I have to look up how heavy the bike is, but it's not as heavy as mine, so the lighter weight definitely helps with the handling. Now, as to the stuff that I don't like about the bike, is certainly the shifter. I don't know if it's just my boots, but somehow it seems very fidgety. So it's just difficult to get the gear in, even if you downshift. It's a lot easier with mine. You just need to tap it, and somehow it just takes a lot more force to do that. I'm not sure why that is. The other thing I don't like about this bike is the seat. The seat is, yeah, it locks me into place. I don't like that at all. I wish they had a seat where you can move around a little bit. It helps to just be more dynamic on the bike. Last but not least, the lower RPM power and the vibrations of the motor. This is not my kind of motor. If you're coming from a super sports bike, you probably like this kind of motor. I mean, it's coming from a super sport motor. But for touring, it's just the high frequency vibrations, the lack of low RPM torque. I guess especially when you're used to it. Nevertheless, I had a lot of fun riding this bike, especially in the wider turns. Definitely handles really well and had a lot of fun with it, but it wouldn't be a bike that I would buy. So who is that bike for? Well, in the end, you need to ride it yourself and figure out if this is for you. But chances are, if you're coming from a super bike, that this type of motorcycle, you know, if you want something, you sit a bit upright. I could sit here the whole day and it was fine. It's a lot more comfortable than on a sports bike. But if you like the touring comfort of a BMW GS, and you're coming from, you know, the inline two-cylinder engines, this may not be for you. Anyway, guys, I hope you found this somewhat useful. Like I said, I'm not going to list stats on this one. They're easy to look up. It's just a riding experience from someone that rides two-cylinder engines most of the time and that's riding a 1290 Super Adventure as a daily rider. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you have comments and you want to add your own experience, please do that in the comment section. If you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ride safe and stay awesome.
Take me back,